Stuck in one spot for 3 years. I was miserable. This is the spot. The reason I was stuck in this spot is because of intense pain in my left knee that no doctor could figure out. And despite being on heavy narcotics for the pain, the only thing that reduced it was holding completely still. The pain was so bad I was suicidal. Not because I wanted to stop living, but because I couldn't bear the pain 1 second longer. I had tried so many pain relief remedies that the bottles filled an entire kitchen cabinet. And I didn't want to keep taking narcotics just to make it through another excruciating second. Check out this video on my YouTube page to see how I ended up in a wheelchair. This is what happened after I was injured. And I went in and saw my doctor. I told him what happened. I needed a doctor's excuse. In a hospital, you need a doctor's excuse to take time off. He wouldn't give me time off. He knew my background, that I was a hiker and a biker, and he said, you got to keep walking. They did x-rays, they did MRIs, and he said, there's no reason for you to have this kind of pain. You need to keep walking. And I said, but I can't keep walking, it hurts. And he said, I'm not giving you time off. Now I had a choice. I had been with the hospital 10 years at that time. I had a choice. I could either defy my employer's rules and stay off work without a doctor's note, or I could go to work, and I trusted my doctor. I went to work, and it got worse and worse and worse until I couldn't walk anymore. At that point, I was stuck at home on the 3rd floor with no elevator. And my doctor said, I am not going to fill out the forms for disability until you come into my office. And I said, I don't have crutches, I don't have a wheelchair, I'm on the 3rd floor. How am I going to get there? And he said, go down on your butt. Well, I also had neck, shoulder, and arm. I can't. So I called the Mormons. They have missionaries, and they came. 2 big, strong missionaries picked me up, carried me down 3 flights of stairs, stopped there, through a locked door, down another flight of stairs, and got me in my car. That's as far as they would go. And then I realized, well, what am I going to do when I get to the doctors? So, as things always work out for us, one of my neighbors, I'm sitting in my car, and one of my neighbors comes downstairs, and I said, can you go to the doctor with me? And she is an angel, and she said, yeah. So she went to the doctor with me, and she got me in there, and the doctor told me that I was a liar, that I was making it all up. Nothing shows up on the x-ray or MRI, so I'm doing this to get out of work. That's hard to hear. And he got so mad at me for lying that he walked me out of the exam room, out into the hallway, and turned away and left. And I was in tears. It was clear that at that point I was not going to be supported by my doctor. I went home, and we're going on about 3 months now that I've missed work. And my doctor told the Employment Development Department, the people who initially send you the first disability when you first become disabled, because I had a hard time getting to my doctor's office, my doctor told them that I was not under his care. So they sent me a letter and said, we're not going to send you a check because your doctor says you're not under his care. Unfortunately, at that time, I had not been able to pay my rent because of what my doctor had done. And I got evicted from my apartment. So that was really hard. And as soon as I got evicted, The relationship I was in at that time ended also. Obviously, it was not the right one because he'd still be with me if he was. So I got evicted. My relationship ended. Oh, and right before I moved, my boss at the nursing facility called me and said that she had been watching me go downhill. She had been watching my health go downhill before this knee injury, and she had been watching it for years. And I was having problems, typing and all of that stuff. I was having issues, but I handled it. I got the job done. I didn't complain. I still showed up for work. This was kind of the first time that I missed so much work. And I said to her, she's a colleague of my doctor, I said, well, if you've watched me go downhill all this time, could you please tell my doctor because he thinks I'm lying? And she said to me, I'm not going to do that because there's nothing in it for me. So I hung up the phone, and a few minutes later I got a call from HR letting me know I was terminated. So I had been there a decade, and I was terminated. Doctors have too much power. They are viewed as superhumans who don't make mistakes like the rest of us. It was really hard at that time for me to accept because I didn't have a wheelchair. I knew I was telling the truth. And all of these things in succession were happening. So I got moved. I hired a moving company. I got moved out of that apartment, and I was kind of left with the aftermath. Here's the aftermath of what had happened to me. And at that point, I couldn't even bend my leg. It was so painful, I couldn't even bend it. So my leg was straight out like this all the time. And I ended up spending 3 years like that. Three years in one spot with my legs straight. I had a little refrigerator with a microwave on top of it, and that was it. A garbage over here. That was my life. Eating out of the microwave and the fridge, garbage over here. Once a week I had hired a caregiver to come in. She'd come in and do everything that I couldn't do, and that lasted for 3 years. It took 3 years. I called my family for help, and I was told, no, we can't help you. We've got too much stuff going on in our own lives. I was in disbelief. Wait, what? Did you say no? Did I miscommunicate? I have been injured so severely that I'm in a wheelchair now. I am not okay and I need help. Their response was the same. And from that point on, they ignored me. This is how I felt. Having my plea for help rejected by people I thought I could trust added another layer to my misery, because if I wasn't on the verge of a mental breakdown before, I certainly was now. In case you've lost track, here's what I'm dealing with. Non-stop unbearable pain, can't walk, in a wheelchair, lost my job, accused of lying, my relationship is over, my family has deserted me, I'm trapped, alone, and my income has disappeared. And the cherry on top is, right before I was evicted, my car was stolen. I used to have long, beautiful hair. But I cut my hair off because I couldn't get in the shower. And quite frankly, I didn't give a damn about my appearance anymore. I was just trying to make it through the next 60 seconds. Even though I felt like this every waking moment, I stuck it out because of Boo and Barley. They are my fur babies, and I am intensely loyal. I worried about what would happen to them if I took my own life. I also made a commitment to them that I would care for them for their entire lives. I soaked up their love and reveled in a visit from Caesar. If it wasn't for their unconditional love, I'm not sure I would have made it through. When I was in their presence, it was easy to not think. And then I just pretended like I didn't mind being ignored and isolated in my greatest time of need. And when I was strong enough, I came up with a plan. I myself am falling back onto that children's book, The Little Red Hen. The hen lives on a farm and wants to make a loaf of bread for herself and the other animals. So she goes to each one and asks if they will help plant the wheat seeds, and one by one they all refuse, similar to what my relatives did when I asked for help. So she agrees to plant the wheat seeds herself, and when the sprouts grow, again she asks the other animals if they'll help, and one by one they all refuse. And when the bread is freshly baked, all of the animals join the hen in the kitchen to partake of her creation. But she's the only one who gets to enjoy it. Life is like a boomerang. Whatever you put out there is exactly what you're going to get back. So if you say, "Don't bother me," that's the same response you're going to get from the omniverse. Here's one reason why. The great thing about this omniversal law is that I don't have to do a darn thing except keep my eye on the goal, just like the little red hen. My goal is eliminating pain so I can walk again. Oh, and I'm gonna stop pretending I'm okay when I'm not, because I learned all about this and this. This video is how I'm expressing myself. Thanks for watching. Y'all come on back now, you hear?